When developing your games, you tend to find yourself repeating the same kinds of tasks over and over again. It could be something as simple as resetting a transform, or it could be some mathematical operation. And what new developers tend to do is copy the code from class to class when they need it. What you could do instead is take advantage of something called extension methods. And what these essentially allow you to do is to attach logic to variable types. And in this tutorial, I want to show you how you could set up your own extension method and maybe give you a couple of examples of methods you could use in your own games. To do this, I have Unity open and I just have an empty object in the scene, and I have a blank test class which I will use to demonstrate our extension methods. So I will just add this test class to our test object, and then I will create a class to hold our extension method. So I will go new C# scripts, and we will go extensions, and I will open this up in Visual Studio. Okay. Now what we're going to need is a public static class, because we want to be able to access these methods from any class without a direct reference. So what I'm going to do is get rid of the mono behavior. We're going to not use the Unity engine, and we're going to get rid of these methods, and we're going to make this class static, public static class called extensions. And the first extension method I'll show you is one that takes an integer and it just returns true or false if the integer is even or not even. Alright, so to do this, or to create a extension method, it has to be public and static. So we'll go public static, and in this particular case I'm going to return a boolean, and in this particular case we'll go is even, and it's going to accept a parameter. And in order for the extension method to work, you need to use the keyword this, and we will take in this case an integer, and we'll call it source, and close this off. So it's giving me an error because we haven't returned anything yet. And so what were we going to return? We're going to return, well, first we need to check if our source is divisible by 2. So if you haven't seen this before, if source divided by 2 is equal to 0, so this is the remainder of our integer divided by 2, and so it will return, I'll close that off. So essentially what we're doing here is we're giving it an integer, and we're seeing whether or not it's divisible by 2. If it is, it will return true. Otherwise, it will return false. And that's it. That's our extension method. So it forms part of a static class. It's a static method, and it returns a type, and the parameter uses the keyword this. So we'll go over to our test class just to see this in action. So this is just a standard class that you would have in Unity, and we'll define a public int called test int. And then just to see how this works, I can go in test int, and we will go if, we'll go test int, and I will access it as if there's a method there. So if I go dot is even, and you can see it's come up as an extension, and close it off as a method. And so that will return true or false. And so if it's true, we will just go debug.log int is even, else debug.log int is false. Int is not even, because it's false. So I'll save that out, and I will return back to Unity just to see this in action. And so we'll open up our console. Int does not contain. So we've got a compile error here, and I'm betting that's because I did not save this properly. So if I come back after saving it, and it's gone. So I didn't save properly. But if I click on my test object and I select 4, hopefully you understand that's even, and we'll hit play, and we can go is even. Works perfectly. And so that's how you set up an extension method. So I'll give another example, one that I use all the time. It's where I want to return a random positive one or a random negative one. So I want a random direction is usually what I'm using it for. So once again, we'll create a public static method, and this time we will return a float, and I will call it random sign. And again, use the keyword this for the parameter, and this time I'm going to take a float, and I'll once again call it source. And we will return, and to get a random negative number, I will go random dot range, which of course is a Unity method, so I'll have to go back and use Unity Engine in order to get access to, oh, what am I doing? Return random dot range. And so in order to get a positive one or a negative one, a random range between 0 and 2, and I will multiply it by 2 and then subtract 1. And hopefully you can convince yourself about why that returns either positive 1 or negative 1. And so just again, demonstrate how this works. If I have a public float called my float, just call it that for now, and again in the update method what I'll do is I'll go my float is equal to my float dot random sign. So again, I've attached the logic to a variable type, and I don't need to provide the parameter. It is coming off the variable type that I'm using. And that's it. That's an extension method. Okay, I'll do one final example here, because you don't have to make your extension methods about a generic type, like a float or a boolean, but you could also do it about Unity's variable type, such as a transform. So once again, I'll go public, must be static, and it will return a type of transform. And so what I'm going to do with this method is reset the transform. Reset transform, or actually I might just call it reset. And again, use the keyword this, and it will take a transform, and I will call it source. You don't have to call it source. I just like to do it for my own thought process. And so what I want to do, I want to go source dot, so to reset it, I want to reset the position. So position equal to vector3.0. And I will set the rotation, so source rotation equal quaternion, I don't know if I'm saying that right, quaternion, I think, quaternion identity, so no rotation, and we will just set the source local scale equal to vector3.1. And in this case, because I'm directly altering the source, I won't return a transform actually. I will change my mind and I will hit void. So I won't return anything, it will simply act on the source. Oh, got a bit of an error here with the vector3. Excellent. So if I save that out, I head over to my test class, and what I can simply do is call on the transform of this class, since it's inherited, transform, and if I hit transform.reset, and you can see there's my extension method there. And that will reset the transform. And there you have it. So in order to create a extension method, again, just to summarize, you want a static class to hold it, you want to create the method as static, you either want to return a type or act on the source like we did with the transform. Pause. You then want to make sure that the parameter has a keyword of this. So it's acting on the type that you're declaring the method on. And that's it. And then you can put any kind of logic that you want inside your method. If you were to search online, you would find a whole range of extension methods that people use in both Unity and other projects. And I encourage you to go look at some of those and make use of them in your games. Thank you.